My wife demanded I pay her $5,000 monthly alimony because I'm used to a certain lifestyle. The judge seemed sympathetic until I presented bank records showing she'd been spending $3,000 monthly on her boyfriend. Her lawyer tried to object. The judge said, "Overruled. Just walked out of family court an hour ago. Still processing what happened, but I need to get this down while it's fresh. Been married to Qley for 12 years. No kids, thankfully. Filed for divorce 8 months ago after catching her cheating. Won't bore you with those details, but let's just say finding hotel receipts on our joint credit card was educational. Qley moved out immediately and got herself a lawyer. Started demanding spousal support right away. Her position was simple. She'd gotten used to a certain lifestyle during our marriage, and I needed to maintain that lifestyle for her. The number she wanted? $5,000 a month for 5 years. $60,000 a year to maintain her lifestyle while she figured out her next steps. Her lawyer kept talking about how she'd sacrificed her career to support our marriage and deserved compensation. Here's the thing though, Qley never sacrificed anything. She worked part-time by choice because she didn't like getting up early. Spent most days shopping or at the spa or having lunch with friends. I supported that because I thought she was my wife and we were building something together. Turns out she was building something. Just not with me. My lawyer Mike told me to prepare for the worst. Judges are often sympathetic to wives who claim they need support, especially when there's a significant income difference. Qley made about 20 grand a year at her part-time gig. I make considerably more. The preliminary hearing was 2 months ago. Qley's lawyer painted this picture of a devoted wife who'd given up career opportunities to support her husband. How she was now facing financial hardship because of the divorce. Qley testified about our lifestyle during the marriage. The nice dinners, the shopping trips, the spa visits, how she'd become accustomed to a certain standard of living and needed time to adjust. Judge Williams seemed to be buying it. Asked detailed questions about our monthly expenses. Nodded sympathetically when Qley talked about her fears of being left without adequate support. Then her lawyer made the formal request, $5,000 monthly for 5 years. Said it was reasonable given our lifestyle and Qley's needs. Judge Williams looked at me and asked if I had any response to the requested amount. Mike stood up and said we'd present our position at the next hearing in 6 weeks. That's when the real work began. See, Qley made one crucial mistake during our marriage. She always used our joint accounts for everything. Said it was easier than managing separate finances. I agreed because I trusted her and thought transparency was good for marriage. Qley never bothered to think about what those account statements revealed. Every transaction, every purchase, every expense, all documented with dates, amounts, and merchant names. Mike and I spent 3 weeks going through 5 years of bank records during discovery. What we found was fascinating. Qley had been spending significant money on activities that didn't match her claimed lifestyle needs. Restaurant charges for 2 people on nights when I was traveling. Hotel bookings when she told me she was visiting her sister. Shopping sprees where she'd buy men's clothing and accessories. But the most consistent pattern was cash withdrawals. $3,000 every month for the past 2 years. Always withdrawn on the same day each month. Always from ATMs near the downtown area where her boyfriend, Derek, lived. Mike put together a comprehensive analysis of Qley's actual spending patterns. Bank statements organized by category. A timeline showing expenses that didn't align with her testimony about our lifestyle. Documentation of purchases that suggested she was supporting someone else financially. The hearing was yesterday. Qley's lawyer went first with the same arguments. Qley testified again about needing support to maintain her standard of living, how she'd become accustomed to certain expenses and couldn't survive without spousal support. Judge Williams asked detailed questions about her monthly needs. Qley provided a breakdown of her expected expenses, rent, groceries, utilities, shopping, spa treatments, the works. Then Mike stood up for our response. Your Honor, we'd like to present evidence regarding Mrs. Qley's actual spending patterns during the marriage and how they relate to her claimed lifestyle needs. Qley's lawyer immediately objected, saying our evidence was irrelevant to future support calculations. Judge Williams allowed us to proceed, saying financial patterns during marriage are relevant to determining appropriate support levels. Mike started with the basics. Our actual household expenses during the marriage. Mortgage, utilities, groceries, insurance, the legitimate costs of maintaining our lifestyle. Then he presented Qley's personal spending, the spa visits, shopping, dinners out. How much of our monthly budget went to her discretionary expenses beyond basic lifestyle needs? Qley started looking nervous. Her lawyer kept glancing at the documents Mike was presenting. Then Mike presented the spending that didn't align with Qley's testimony. Your Honor, Mrs. Qley testified that she needs $5,000 monthly to maintain her accustomed lifestyle. However, the bank records show a pattern of spending that suggests she's been maintaining expenses beyond what she's claimed. He showed the restaurant charges for 2 people during times I was traveling. Hotel expenses that didn't match her claimed visits to family. Shopping purchases for men's items that couldn't be for household use. Qley's lawyer tried arguing that Qley's personal relationships weren't relevant to her support needs. That's when Mike presented the cash withdrawal pattern. Your Honor, Mrs. Qley has been withdrawing $3,000 cash monthly for the past 2 years. These withdrawals are separate from all her other documented expenses. They represent additional lifestyle costs beyond what she's testified to needing. He showed the consistent pattern of withdrawals. Same amount, same frequency over 24 months. Always from the same general area of town. Judge Williams studied the records carefully, asked Qley's lawyer if they had any explanation for the cash withdrawals that weren't accounted for in her expense testimony. Qley's lawyer argued that cash expenses are normal and don't necessarily indicate additional lifestyle costs. Mike countered by showing our credit card and check records. Every legitimate expense was documented through traceable transactions. Groceries, gas, utilities, shopping, entertainment, everything appeared on our cards or checks. The cash withdrawals represented spending above and beyond our documented lifestyle. Judge Williams asked Qley directly about the $3,000 monthly in cash withdrawals. Qley claimed the money was for various personal expenses and miscellaneous costs that she preferred to handle in cash. Mike then presented evidence that the cash withdrawals corresponded with Qley supporting her boyfriend Derek. Bank records showing the timing and location patterns. Documentation that the withdrawals started around the time Qley began her affair. Qley's lawyer objected, saying we were making assumptions about how the cash was used. Judge Williams said, "Overruled. This directly relates to her claimed lifestyle needs. If Mrs. Qley has been spending $3,000 monthly on expenses she hasn't disclosed, that's relevant to determining appropriate support." Qley broke down and admitted she'd been helping Derek with some of his expenses because he was going through financial difficulties. Judge Williams asked why Qley felt entitled to $5,000 monthly support when she'd been spending $3,000 monthly on undisclosed expenses during the marriage. Qley couldn't provide a coherent answer. Her lawyer tried arguing that Qley's future needs were separate from her past spending choices. Mike kept it simple. Qley claimed she needed $5,000 monthly to maintain her lifestyle. The records showed she'd been spending $3,000 monthly on expenses she hadn't disclosed. Her actual lifestyle needs were significantly different from what she testified to. Judge Williams took a 30-minute recess to review all the evidence. When court resumed, his decision was clear and detailed. Mrs. Qley, the evidence shows a significant discrepancy between your testified lifestyle needs and your actual spending patterns during the marriage. You've claimed you need $5,000 monthly, while simultaneously demonstrating you've been spending $3,000 monthly on undisclosed expenses. Qley's lawyer tried to interrupt, but Judge Williams continued. The court finds that your claimed lifestyle needs are inflated by expenses that were not legitimate marital lifestyle costs. Your request for $5,000 monthly spousal support is denied. However, the court recognizes that you do have some legitimate transitional needs. Spousal support is awarded in the amount of $1,200 monthly for 2 years to assist with basic living expenses. Qley started crying. Her lawyer requested time to review the decision. Judge Williams made his ruling final and set the next hearing for final asset division. Qley gets $1,200 monthly instead of $5,000. The cash withdrawal evidence destroyed her credibility about her actual needs. Update: 3 weeks later. The final divorce hearing was last week. Asset division went much smoother than the alimony fight. Qley's credibility was already damaged from the bank records presentation. Her lawyer couldn't effectively argue for favorable asset splits when the judge had seen evidence of her dishonesty about financial matters. The cash withdrawals became a factor in asset division too. Since Qley had been using marital funds to support Derek, her portion of assets was reduced to account for the dissipation of marital property. Not dollar for dollar, but enough to make a difference. Qley ends up with $1,200 monthly for 2 years instead of $5,000 for 5 years. She gets about 40% of marital assets instead of the 50% she was expecting. Derek disappeared completely once Qley's financial situation changed. Turns out guys who accept money from married women aren't interested in supporting themselves when the money stops flowing. Qley's family has been asking me to consider increasing the spousal support amount. They seem to think $1,200 monthly isn't enough for her to maintain any kind of decent lifestyle. I told them Qley's lifestyle requirements were significantly overstated based on her own spending patterns. If she could afford to give Derek $3,000 monthly, she can figure out how to live on $1,200. Mike confirmed the ruling is solid. Qley's appeal options are limited since the judge based his decision on documented evidence she provided through her own bank records. Update 2. 2 months later, Qley's appeal was denied last month. Appellate court found no error in Judge Williams's analysis of her spending patterns and lifestyle claims. She's had to make significant adjustments to her living situation, moved to a cheaper apartment, gave up the spa membership, canceled most of her shopping subscriptions, learning to live within her actual means instead of inflated expectations. Derek has been completely absent from her life. Deleted social media, blocked her number, moved away. 2 years of financial support from a married woman, and he vanished the moment it ended. Qley tried reaching out through mutual friends, asking if I'd consider modifying the support amount. Said she's struggling to adjust, and the $1,200 doesn't cover her basic needs. I reminded those friends that Qley had been spending $3,000 monthly on expenses she couldn't account for. If she could afford that during our marriage, she can afford to budget properly now. The divorce finalized 6 weeks ago. Qley gets her spousal support for 2 years and her reduced share of assets. She's responsible for building her own life instead of expecting me to fund it indefinitely. Final update. 4 months later, Qley's financial reality has fully set in. The $1,200 monthly covers basic expenses, but none of the discretionary spending she was used to. No more spa treatments, expensive dinners, or shopping sprees. She's had to increase her hours at work to supplement the spousal support. Turns out, when you can't rely on someone else's money, you have to actually earn your own. Derek remains completely gone. Word through mutual acquaintances is that he found another woman to support him financially. Qley learned the hard way what kind of man accepts money from someone else's wife. Qley posted some social media about starting over and learning to be independent. The comments from people who know the real story weren't particularly sympathetic. My life has improved dramatically. The house is mine, the finances are transparent, and I don't have to wonder where $3,000 disappears to every month. Started dating someone who has her own career and handles her own expenses. Amazing how much simpler relationships are when both people contribute instead of one person funding the other's lifestyle. Qley learned that you can't have your cake and eat it too. She wanted maximum spousal support while hiding significant expenses from the court. The bank records told the real story about her actual needs. Judge Williams saw through the devoted wife act once he understood where our money was actually going. Hard to claim you need $5,000 monthly when you've been spending $3,000 monthly on undisclosed expenses. Sometimes the best revenge is just presenting the facts and letting people face the consequences of their own choices. Qley's choices cost her credibility with the court and most of the spousal support she was demanding. She got exactly what her actual documented needs supported, nothing more and nothing less.